going down tonight. Hiya, Paul.
Hiya, Caroline.
Go on then, talk me through it.
Well, I mean, it's just utter dejection and devastation today, if you're a Rovers fan. But unfortunately, it's something that, are we entirely surprised? But no, we're not. And I'm afraid for us, it's the season, and it's a decade almost of wasted potential. We've defeated Brentford today, who have got a fantastic home record, and we've taken 6 points off Newcastle, who were the overall champions. And it just shows you what we were capable of and what we still are capable of as a football club. And I think there is, unless you're a Burnley fan, of course, I think there's a lot of sympathy from the football world tonight about our relegation. And I'm afraid sorry, Wrighty.
No, I was just going to say, to be honest, Paul, what now, though? Because, like you mentioned, for the last 10 years, whatever, it's just been slowly just decline. What now? What's going to make you say, I've got to still go, I've got to try and support them? With these owners, what are you hanging your hat on?
Well, right, we're in a fork in the road, quite clearly, and we are relying on Venky's doing the right thing. And I'm sorry, when you're relying on that sort of statement to make sure we go in the direction of a Leeds and a Leicester and not in the direction of a Coventry and an Orient, then we are at a huge crossroads, and a crossroads that will ensure that for us to take the right path, I think Venky's now have to sell up. If this is a day where they don't realise that their supposed prized asset and their investment has gone disastrously wrong, and they have ruined what is a fantastic club with a great tradition. I'm not sitting here and saying that we deserve to be in the Premier League outright. I'm not saying that, but we deserved so much better. We deserve to be treated so much better. Surprise, surprise, the owners were not at the game today. We don't know where they are. We haven't had any communication from them. People are going to lose their jobs over this. So this isn't just a sporting travesty. It's people's livelihoods. And we have got a real danger now of going into administration. And you can just see it spiralling, because we've got certain young players at the club who are fantastic players, who are still under contract, but I can see them being sold in order to balance the books. And just to clarify, I don't think that Huddersfield have damaged the integrity of the relegation scrap one bit. So if there's any fans out there who believe that they are to blame for this by making 10 changes, they are not to blame. We are to blame for not being good enough over 46 games, and unfortunately we're in the bottom three. And you could argue, well, unlucky to go down with 51 points, because we'd have stayed up with 11 points remaining last season. But unfortunately, it's this season, and we deserve to go down. And, Mowbray has managed to gather 22 points from 15 games, which would have got us into mid-table. So yet again, the owners have proved that they've made a shocking appointment in Owen Coyle. Tony Mowbray, he needs to stay at the club for me. He's earned that right to have a go at League One next season. Yeah. But the key to it is keeping these players and getting the recruitment right, which is something we haven't done. But I just hope we go in the right direction.
The frustration always, Paul, and you know this, Ian, is as a fan, what can you do?
I know,
what can you do?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It just seems like you're just on the floor. How'd you pick yourself up when you know you're not hearing? Are you hearing anything from the owners? Anything, Paul? Are they saying anything? Are they making any statements to say what they wanted, what they're going to do? Have they?
No, not at all. I mean, so often we've had quite a lot of heated AGMs recently over the past year or two, understandably so. And there's always been representatives of Venky's. There's always been a chief executive who's new in the role. There's never been any direct contact. Even today, we're hearing that Tony Mowbray may be flying out to India to speak to these owners. There's no way to run a football club.
I'm constantly hearing about managers and people flying out to the Venky's. I'm constantly hearing about it. Nothing happens.
Well, the thing is, right, Paul Lambert left the club. I thought he was a fantastic appointment for us, and he left the club because he didn't like the way the club was run. He already been through the political circumstances at Aston Villa. Yeah. And Tony Mowbray has admitted today that he is not a political manager. He's not a Rafa Benitez. He doesn't do things like that behind the scenes. He is a grassroots football coach who clearly had a way with the players and got the players working, and the hard work, the resilience that we showed, that's his strength. He is not one to be flying out to another continent to be dealing with owners who don't have the bottle or the guile to come over here and speak to the manager and speak to the people at boardroom level to get things right at this club.
Paul, can I just ask you, Paul, just one final thing, because you won't be surprised, there are lots of fans calling up who've got sympathy for what's going on with you. You mentioned administration, and this is kind of the hardest thing as a fan to say. Would you rather your club went into administration and they were gone, and kind of start again, maybe get that fresh sheet, or just carry on with the Venky's and hope that they change things round?
Well, the latter's not going to happen, unfortunately, Caroline. I mean, they've made some baffling decisions, from Sam Allardyce being sacked when we were in mid-table to Steve Keane being sacked even when they were third in the Premier League, to hiring Henning Berg and Michael Appleton, Owen Coyle, and sacking them. So they've shown incompetence at an astonishing level. And, you want to see a steady decline of a football club. Look at Blackburn Rovers. Leyton Orient, yes, they've gone down into the National League, but that's taken 2 or 3 years from incompetent ownership as well. But from us, we were in a phenomenal position with Sam Allardyce, future England manager, that you cannot rely on these owners. So in terms of going down and rebuilding, I don't like that term because there's so many variables in that. But if it means going into administration, people unfortunately losing their jobs and losing their livelihood, if it means that the club can get back onto an equal footing with new ownership, people who have a passion for the football club, even under fan ownership, if that's an option, then I think it's best going forward. But, I would like to think that this is our darkest day and that we can go up from here, not down.
Fingers crossed.
Paul, like I said, there's lots of sympathy coming in on the text for you as well. All the best, Paul. We will, of course, hopefully hear from some more Blackburn fans. Kind of where do you go from here? What is the point? But it's that desperation that Paul so eloquently puts across. What can you do?
Well, I ain't got a clue. You know what I mean? I literally haven't got a clue. And the thing you can hear in Paul's voice, that he's obviously lived it from where he was, the middle of the Premier League, to where they are now. And it's been a constant decline. That's the only thing the only consistency with the club and the Venky's is the fact that they're not backing them, and they've just been in just steady decline.
£23 million that the Venky's bought the club for, 7 years ago, now talk that they're in debt to £100 million. 08085 909 6